It looked like a small two-seat roadster built for relaxed weekend drives, but in reality, it quietly reshaped what Americans expected from a luxury car. Between 1955 and 1957, more than 53,000 examples of the Ford Thunderbird were produced, and it quickly became one of the most admired cars of its time. What you are about to discover is not just its history, but the overlooked decisions, hidden intentions, and lesser-known truths that helped define America's idea of a personal luxury car. What most people never realized was that the Thunderbird was not designed as a pure sports car. That might sound surprising when you look at its low stance and European-inspired proportions. But here is where things take an interesting turn. It was developed partly in response to the growing attention around the Chevrolet Corvette, yet Ford deliberately chose a different path. Instead of focusing on racing performance, they emphasized comfort, refinement, and ease of use. The reason was simple. American buyers in the 1950s were not looking for a demanding machine. They wanted something elegant that could be driven every day. When you sat behind the wheel, you could feel that intention. The ride was smooth, the cabin felt personal, and the car invited you to relax rather than push it to its limits. In many ways, this approach helped define a new category, one that valued personal enjoyment as much as performance. And this is where it becomes even more interesting. Despite not being positioned as a hardcore sports car, the Thunderbird dramatically outsold its closest rival in its early years. In 1955 alone, Ford sold over 16,000 Thunderbirds, while the early Corvette struggled with much lower numbers due to its limited early configuration. The reason was not just marketing. Ford understood what people actually wanted. Drivers didn't want complexity or compromise. They wanted a car that made them feel special without asking too much in return. In everyday life, this meant you could simply get in and enjoy the drive. And that ease of ownership created a deep emotional connection, helping the Thunderbird earn its reputation as a personal luxury icon. Now imagine stepping back to the very beginning of its creation. The Thunderbird was born from a direct challenge inside Ford's leadership. In early 1950s America, imported European sports cars were gaining attention, and Chevrolet was preparing its Corvette. Ford responded with a secret internal program often referred to as Project Thunderbird. The idea was not just to build a car, but to build a feeling, something stylish, personal, and aspirational. Even the name Thunderbird was carefully chosen. It came from Native American mythology, where the Thunderbird symbolized power, protection, and speed. Ford's team believed this name captured both strength and elegance in a single word. When the car was first shown to the public at the 1954 Detroit Auto Show, the reaction was immediate. People didn't see just a car, they saw a new kind of American identity on wheels. And then there is something most people never notice. The Thunderbird was never priced like a cheap experiment. With a starting price of around $2,900, it was positioned closer to a luxury vehicle than a mass-market car. This was intentional. Ford did not want it competing with economy cars. They wanted it sitting in a new emotional space, something between luxury and sport, but not fully either. That positioning gave it an exclusive feeling, almost like a personal statement rather than simple transportation. But here is another surprising detail. The Thunderbird's marketing was not aimed only at men. In fact, Ford advertising at the time subtly highlighted that the car was equally appealing to women drivers, which was unusual for the 1950s automotive industry. The reason was strategic. Ford wanted the Thunderbird to feel elegant, approachable, and stylish rather than aggressive. In real life, this broadened its appeal significantly. It was not just a performance symbol, it became a lifestyle car, seen outside country clubs, city boulevards, and suburban homes alike. Now imagine opening the hood again. You might expect a modest engine, but instead, the Thunderbird came with a V8 from day one. In 1955, it featured a 292 cubic inch V8, and by 1957, it could be upgraded to a 312 cubic inch engine. The rare E-Code version, with dual 4-barrel carburetors, delivered impressive performance for its time. Some versions even offered a factory supercharged setup producing up to 300 horsepower. But the goal was never racing dominance. The goal was effortless power, smooth acceleration that made highway driving feel easy and controlled. Once you understand this philosophy, the removable hardtop makes perfect sense. Convertibles were stylish, but often impractical. Ford solved this by giving owners both a soft top and a removable hardtop. In daily life, This meant flexibility. You could enjoy open-air driving when the weather was perfect, and switch to a quieter, enclosed cabin when needed. It wasn't just design. It was convenience built into emotion. Then came one of its most iconic features, the porthole windows. These small circular windows in the hardtop were not originally planned as a styling element. Early feedback revealed visibility issues in the closed roof design. Ford's solution was functional first, add windows for better rear visibility. But the result became iconic. What started as a safety and usability fix turned into one of the most recognizable design signatures in automotive history. Inside the car, everything was designed around the driver. The dashboard wrapped slightly toward the seat, placing gauges and controls within natural reach. The intention was simple: reduce distraction and make driving feel intuitive. In everyday use, this meant the Thunderbird didn't overwhelm you with complexity. Instead, it made you feel connected to the road in a calm, effortless way. By 1957, Ford had already begun planning a major change. Despite the success of the two-seat design, the company decided to move toward a four-seat configuration for the next generation. The reason was practical. Buyers were beginning to want more usability without losing style. This decision marked the end of the original two-seat era, making the 1955 to 1957 Thunderbird even more special in hindsight. It became a short, perfect moment in automotive history that could never quite be repeated in the same form. Even today, when you see a 1955 to 1957 Ford Thunderbird, it doesn't feel outdated. It feels intentional, balanced, and emotionally rich. Every line and detail still carries the sense of a car designed not just for movement, but for meaning. When you step back, it becomes clear why it earned its reputation as America's personal luxury king. It didn't try to be extreme. It didn't try to dominate every category. Instead, it focused on something far more difficult: making driving feel personal, comfortable, and emotionally satisfying. And now I'm curious, did you ever experience a Thunderbird from this era, or see one in its prime on the road? What memory does it bring back for you?